July 8, 2025, with the release of a police alert by the Jiangning branch of the Nanjing Public Security Bureau in Jiangsu Province, China, the Nanjing Red Uncle incident quickly went viral on the internet and dominated the front pages of social media platforms, such as Chinese TikTok. The incident started with some men accidentally discovered that their sex videos with the Red Uncle were being publicly circulated on the internet. Who is the Red Uncle? According to the police investigation, the Red Uncle, Mr. Jiao, is a 38-year-old man from another province. He had cross-dressed as a woman and engaged in sexual activities with multiple men, secretly filming the videos, selling and distributing them on the internet. According to Chinese media reports, Red Uncle's sexual partners numbered around 1,691, but the actual number is unknown. With the exposure of the sex videos, more and more men who had sexual contact with Red Uncle were seriously affected. What criminal penalties might Red Uncle face under Chinese law? The legal penalties that Red Uncle might face mainly come from two aspects. One is the legal responsibility for secretly filming and selling sex videos, and the other is the legal responsibility for spreading diseases while knowing he has sexually transmitted disease. According to the police alert, Red Uncle's act of secretly filming sexual activities and distributing them on the internet for profit has violated relevant provisions of the Chinese criminal law. Chinese Article 363 of the criminal law stipulates that the crime of spreading obscene materials for profit is the dissemination of more than 40 obscene videos constitutes a crime. If it exceeds 100, it is considered particularly serious circumstances, and those with particularly serious circumstances may be sentenced to fixed-term imprisonment of not less than 10 years or life imprisonment, and shall also be fined. If Red Uncle knew she had AIDS, syphilis, or other sexually transmitted diseases, and still engaged in unprotected sexual activities, she may be charged with the crime of spreading sexually transmitted diseases. Article 360 of the criminal law stipulates that if she knew she had AIDS or other serious infectious diseases, and still engaged in unprotected sexual activities with multiple unspecified people, posing a risk of large-scale disease transmission, she could be sentenced to up to 5 years in prison. As of now, the police have not publicly disclosed whether the Red Uncle is carrying sexually transmitted diseases. If it is confirmed, his criminal liability will be significantly increased. What is the proportion of male-to-male sexual behavior in human sexual behavior? Male-to-male sexual behavior is generally regarded as a sexual behavior of sexual minorities, a very small part of sexual behavior, or a morally non-mainstream sexual behavior in most countries around the world. But is this really the case? Alfred C. Kinsey was a renowned American sexologist and biologist at Indiana University, and the founder of the Kinsey Institute in the United States. In the middle of the last century, based on the collated survey results, he successively published 2 reports, Sexual Behavior in the Human Male and Sexual Behavior in the Human Female, which were collectively known as the Kinsey Reports. The Kinsey Reports collected nearly 18,000 interview cases related to human sexual behavior and sexual orientation, accumulating a large amount of extremely valuable first-hand data, and for the first time revealing the true situation of male and female sexual behavior to the world. The survey data shows the percentage of pre-adolescent boys in the United States, classified by age, who participated in different introductory sex games as stipulated in the Kinsey Reports. According to the survey conclusion drawn from the Kinsey Reports, among the sexual activities of American boys aged 5 to 15, the proportion of homosexual and heterosexual sexual games is comparable. In some age groups, homosexuality is more common and frequent than heterosexuality. Among adult men, 48% recalled having engaged in homosexual sex games during their teenage years. Among the participants in homosexual sex games, 42.1% will continue into adolescence or even adulthood. This is the result of field research from the United States in the 1950s, and this result was verified in an embarrassing way in another country across the Atlantic nearly 8 decades later. Obviously, sexual phenomena in the real world have not changed much due to cultural differences and the passage of time. Sexual behavior among men is not uncommon either, and the proportion is astonishingly large than imagined. Can the sexual partners of Red Uncle be classified as bisexual? Before answering this question, we need to understand a concept. What is cross-dresser? According to the definition in the Cambridge Online Dictionary, a cross-dresser usually refers to a man who sometimes wears clothes, cosmetics, jewelry, etc., that are typically worn by women. There are also different classifications among cross-dressers. Some are long-term cross-dressers who believe they are female and have not undergone gender reassignment surgery. Some are cross-dressers like Red Uncle, who do so for specific purposes. There are also straight men who switch roles with their female partners for the need of interaction with their partners and to stimulate their sexual desire. So, can a man who has sexual relations with a cross-dresser be identified as bisexual? This is a difficult question to answer. In this incident, most men do not have sexual relations with men other than Red Uncle, and many of them already have regular female partners, or even wives. Sexual response is a process of being stimulated, reacting. We can only assume that although they cannot accept having sexual relations with pure men, due to the certain feminine characteristics of cross-dressers, men also have a physiological response to cross-dressers, regardless of whether this response is moral or makes them feel uneasy. Therefore, in terms of the gender of Red Uncle, they can be identified as bisexual, but from the traditional definition of bisexuality, they are still straight men. What changes need to be made to our perceptions of sexuality? Human physiological characteristics have always played a leading role in human sexual behavior. The diversity of sexual behavior has always existed. Fear and resistance towards same-sex behavior cannot prevent it from happening even in relatively conservative Asian countries. Worldwide, the social atmosphere and legal system for maintaining heterosexual marital and romantic relationships are very mature, and the legal system for safeguarding homosexual marital and romantic relationships is also gradually being established in an increasing number of countries. However, most people still hold a rejecting attitude towards bisexuals. In fact, in the eyes of many, bisexuals are regarded as synonyms for being unfaithful and promiscuous. In this incident, Red Uncle's dates included not only internet celebrities and fitness coaches, but also college students and international students. While we are shocked by the identities of these men, we have to accept an established reality. The diversity of human sexual behavior is far richer than we imagine, and the constraints of morality and law on human sexual behavior may never have been as strong as we think.